sequence. Oyster.
Do you know what this guy and this guy and this one and somehow this one and this all have in common? They were all part of answering the same question. What happens when you make bad TV on purpose?
Watch closely. I'm not even touching him.
To you, parody probably means this looks like the TV I know, but the jokes are exaggerated. But what happens when it is TV, but it's the worst, cheapest, most broken version of it? What if your TV had a terrible disease? Turns out, brilliance.
Back from the dead.
The least helpful mayor of all time. Tim and Eric broke the way we think of comedy and television. They helped rewire comedy. It took 5 insane ideas. The first looks like this. Yes, seriously.
Use your calves, Randall, your legs. Push like you're having a baby.
This is Tom Goes to the Mayor, and it's essentially the prototype for the entire Tim and Eric philosophy. Adult Swim once called this show the most polarizing show they've ever aired. And its look, which is immediately obvious, is only a part of why. This was made by taking pictures of the cast, just regular pictures, then using a photocopy effect in Photoshop. This right. This show's animation was done by doing something you could do in 5 minutes at home. And it was intentional. And this look mattered because it clones what local commercials or corporate videos or even early internet would look like. And this show just got weirder, dude. Just got weirder. Tom Goes to the Mayor's only structure is that the episodes start usually by Tom going to the mayor with a problem. Characters in the show barely apply any logic to any situation. Most authority figures are incompetent or just plain hostile, and most plot lines are never resolved. The episode just ends, where it's Adult Swim contemporaries, mostly focused on escalating chaos. Tim and Eric focused on making chaos simmer and fester. Now, the joke here was meaning itself collapsing. An early use of anti-comedy or anti-humor. But this anti-comedy would really take shape in something somehow even more unique. Oh my goodness. Great job. Awesome. This shit was nuts.
What do you call that?
That is a sandal sitting by a chair.
And it's probably a bit of what inspired things like this. And maybe even this. Tim and Eric, turns out, dude, had another trick up their sleeve. Anxiety. The traditional structure of a similar sketch comedy show would normally look something like this. Setup, escalation, punchline, blackout. Tim and Eric pretty much just broke that with the awesome show. Here, you'd have sketches that end way before you're anticipating, or better yet, sketches that go on far too long for comfort. Or, better yet again, dude, sketches that repeat and wrap in on themselves until you're uncomfortable. And many would simply stop without resolving their punchline or even reaching a conclusion. Sound familiar? And that's all if, dude. If the sketch didn't just wormhole itself into literal screaming, loud noises, or just pure silence. Yes, anti-comedy, but they also are one of the first popular examples of anxiety comedy. It's not a joke you're waiting to land. It's permission to stop watching that you're waiting for. And you might actually want to before you see what they did next.
What can I help you with?
My toes. I don't want them anymore.
Would you like me to read you a bedtime story? Here is Bedtime Stories Which is what happens when Tim and Eric stop pretending they're making TV comedy. Bedtime Stories was Tim and Eric further deconstructing what you can do on TV and how far you can push your audience. See, there are episodes here that are truly disturbing. There's far less punchlines, and instead, this is a show that leans hard into themes like obsession, guilt, human moral decay. It feels a bit like if you woke up from a nightmare and tried to recall it an hour or so later, as some other people have pointed out. It's all just a little off. See, Tim and Eric realized they could lure you in with comedy and then deliver discomfort. And you like it. Here lies comedy. This would all culminate then in a grand, glorious middle finger to the entire industry. And it cost $1 billion. $1 billion! Oh my god, $1 billion, really? Have you ever seen a movie that is intentionally not a movie in any recognizable way? This is that. Oh, yeah! Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie is bloated, indulgent, messy, and it perfectly mirrors holiday excess, dude, in vanity projects and film, and the trend of studios throwing money at nonsense. Which is exactly what Tim and Eric are arguing this is. Here, Tim and Eric are given $1 billion, and from there, the movie is literally a sketch that just keeps burning cash to avoid ending. These dudes buy a mall. This isn't an inciting incident. It should be. Instead, they just wait for it to collapse. As usual, the problem isn't solved. It's just outlasted. Will Ferrell is there, dude, not to be funny, but to play it completely straight. It's insane. The movie is far too long, mimicking the trend in film. It quite literally does anything it can to avoid moving the plot forward. There's no hero's journey. The characters learn nothing. The film has no traditional conclusion. They made a movie that behaves like a failed movie. A movie that would never get greenlit today, by the way. And then the finale. Notice my glamour, eh? I'm glamorous. Adult Swim covered the Oscars. A full-blown Oscars show on a network that felt like everything the Oscars wasn't. And this might easily be the most defiant thing the network may have ever aired. There is dead air everywhere. Nearly everything is completely irrelevant. Equipment that doesn't work properly. Filler all the time, and even fake ads. The anti-comedy had transcended parody and became a straight-up refusal to acknowledge the space it was meant to exist within. This wasn't a celebration of the glamour of Hollywood. It treated the Oscars like cable access, like Wayne's World, just steamrolling over the mythology of Hollywood, which wraps all of their comedy in a tight bow. I fear this is not funny at all. Tim and Eric expanded and maybe even in some ways popularized anti-comedy. Anxiety humor, they helped rewire the way we think of what's funny. Were they the first? Maybe not, but they might have been the most committed. So the lesson here is fairly simple. Anything can work, any idea, any joke, if you go all in. Not halfway, all in, just live the bit. Live your work. If you feel stupid, you're probably doing something right. You might not be very funny, and that just might be hilarious.
Am alive again.